New tonight, a fire that has destroyed dozens of buildings in southern Colorado is now one of the largest in our state's history. Thanks for joining us tonight at 10. I'm Phil Lipoff. New mapping shows the Aspenacres fire is over 55,000 acres, or about 86 square miles. For reference, that's about twice the size of Lakewood. The fire is now the 10th largest in state history, surpassing the 416 fire that sparked back in 2018. Since starting Monday, the Aspenacres fire has burned at least 180 buildings. The situation is rapidly evolving, with hot, dry, and windy weather contributing to erratic fire behavior. Resources from all over the country are pouring in to help, but fire officials warn there's only so much to go around.
My biggest concern keeping me awake right now is new starts. Because every new start, we cannot afford to get another large fire going on the landscape in the state of Colorado or in the Rocky Mountain area. Because as soon as we get that, we take resources away from the Buc-ee fire to keep it small. There's a finite amount of aircraft and firefighters in the United States of America. And
fire officials say the Aspenacres fire was human caused. They couldn't elaborate just how it started, and they point out that about 90% of the fires in Colorado are human caused, not necessarily on purpose, just the result of human actions. I want to bring Chris in now, and Chris, it's that reason that the fire restrictions are being upped and that people are being asked to not light off fireworks or really have anything to do with fire.
I do know that some of the messaging can be a bit confusing. Where are we talking about those stage 2 bans? Where are we not? I'll just say it in short. Most of the mountains, almost all of the mountains, are under a stage 2 fire ban, which means no fireworks, no campfires, and same for most of the Denver metro area. Almost all of the Denver metro area under stage 2 fire bans now as well. As we just talked about a second ago, the Aspenacres fire, now the 10th largest wildfire in Colorado's recorded history, and you unfortunately may be seeing this move up above the West Fork fire, which was back in 2013. So this will likely move into the 9th spot later on tomorrow. Part of the reason why is we still have fire danger for tomorrow as well, with winds that'll gust up to about 35 miles an hour in southern Colorado. That means more smoke, so more air quality. So pretty much the same for tomorrow. However, looking ahead tonight, right now we're mostly in the 60s and 70s, but looking ahead to tomorrow, we will start to see a little bit of improvement tomorrow night and Saturday morning with a bit more low-level moisture and lighter winds. I'll tell you about that coming up in my full forecast.
Chris, thank you. With big fires burning all across the state, local officials are concerned ahead of one of the busiest outdoor weekends of the year. 9 News reporter Rhea Jha has more from a wildlife risk expert.
We're along I-70 right now, where a lot of people are getting a head start on the weekend. Earlier today, we saw cars, campers, and trailers, and one big line heading out to the west. But one wildfire expert we spoke with said that is actually a reminder of how dangerous this weekend can actually become.
We all know what weekend is coming up.
Bumper-to-bumper traffic on I-70 in the middle of summer can only mean one thing.
July 4th weekend.
Einar Jensen is a wildfire risk reduction expert with Evergreen Fire Rescue. He's got the job of saying what people may not want to hear this weekend.
But this is not the right year to be using fireworks. It's not the right year to be using to start a campfire just in dispersed camping areas.
On Thursday, Jefferson County became the latest to issue stage 2 fire restrictions, which means
stage 2 fire ban means no fireworks. No fireworks.
Fire restrictions are now being put in place as the state is already burning. The Aspenacres fire near Pueblo is now the state's largest active wildfire at more than 55,000 acres with 0% containment.
It's hard to imagine that something like the Snyder fire or the Aspenacres fire started small, but they all do.
Just this week, Evergreen Fire Rescue got that reminder.
We thought we had a wildfire. Turns out we had a shed fire. Had those residents not called 911, that fire could have had a chance to get into the grasses, get into the trees. We might still be out there today.
It's the reason why Evergreen Fire Rescue is keeping its firefighters at home this weekend, even as resources are needed across the state.
And then once we get through our weekend, then we can go out and start helping others a lot more effectively.
Whether you're in one of those cars heading west or not,
it's imperative that we all take that accountability. We're all responsible with heat sources so that we don't have unwanted wildfires. What we want is a nice, calm, patriotic, fun, safe weekend.
In areas with stage 2 fire restrictions, no fireworks means no fireworks. So not even those little sparklers that you twirl around. If you see fireworks in restricted areas, most counties have emergency fireworks complaint hotlines, or you could just call 911. Reporting in Jeffco, Ria Jha, 9 News.
Happening right now, divers are searching for a person who disappeared into Chatfield Reservoir. South Metro Fire responded to a water rescue there just before 5:45 tonight. CPW has since said it has transitioned into a recovery mission, meaning they don't believe that person has survived. At this hour, though, rescue boats and divers are still out there on the water, and they say they will search through the night if they have to. As Buc-ee's tries to build its second location here in Colorado, the company faces yet another roadblock. After abandoning its plans to build one in the town of Palmer Lake following pushback, Buc-ee's is eyeing a spot on El Paso County land. But it is facing a problem with its zoning application. The county's planning and community development director was unable to decide whether it could be labeled as a convenience store. Buc-ee's can appeal the decision within 30 days. Staff will have 2 weeks to review the decision before giving a written response. After a second deadly shooting in just the past 2 weeks, Denver police are sending out a warning tonight about a dangerous pattern confronting people who are committing carjackings and break-ins. The first shooting happened around 1 a.m. on June 24th off East Olmsted Place. The second happened late Tuesday night off Pecos Street. In both cases, police said residents confronted people breaking into their cars when they were shot and killed. Police say 19-year-old Jacob Lopez was killed in the shooting off Olmsted, and 33-year-old Christopher Neighbors was killed in the shooting off Pecos. Anyone with information on either case is asked to call Denver Crime Stoppers at the number you see here on your screen, and they say you can remain anonymous. A mother in Denver is speaking publicly tonight for the first time since her 13-year-old son was hit and killed riding a rented Vio scooter. In an interview you will see only right here on 9 News, Tiffany Winston shares the unimaginable loss of her son and why she's reliving the hardest days of her life to try to save someone else's child. Here's 9 News anchor Alexandra Lewis.
There are some questions no parent should ever have to answer.
What will you miss most about your baby?
Everything. His smile, his voice, that one got me.
Tiffany Winston goes quiet, then describes all those little things grief steals.
Everything we take for granted. His walk, his smell. You know, boys, a little musty smell, you know, his smile. You know, boys, they slap box you when you walk by, they punch you, and you know, they do boy stuff. You know, I'm gonna miss that, I'm gonna miss the arguments. You know, him and his siblings arguing, his cooking, everything. Everything I got robbed of, you know? Everything. It's nothing I won't miss. It's my baby.
For 13 years, Daquan Harris wasn't just Tiffany's oldest son. He was the protector, the big brother, the kid who always made sure everyone else was okay.
I would drop my sons off. I'm like, okay, baby, have a good day. I love you. And he was like, all right, Mom, I love you too. Drive safe. He always told me to drive safe.
Those were the last words Daquan said to his mom. On May 7th, the 8th grader scanned a code, stepped onto a rented Vio scooter, and rode toward football practice. At Colfax and Knox, a car struck him.
He looked like a child I didn't even know.
Daquan spent 34 days in the ICU with a traumatic brain injury.
They had to remove the partial of his skull because his brain was swelling.
Tiffany sat beside her son's hospital bed, hoping for a miracle that wouldn't come.
It's torture because as a parent, as a mother, your goal is to protect your children by all means, you know. But when you can't do anything, and when the doctors tell you, like, we've done all we can do.
Daquan died on June 10th. Tiffany isn't searching for someone to blame. She's asking how a child could so easily rent something so dangerous.
A child does not know street laws. So for this to be so accessible for children is unfair. All you do is scan the code and you can get on. It's too easy and too available for our children.
Tiffany can't change what happened on Colfax, so she's standing on the corner of it, telling every parent who passes.
And if you can prevent it, prevent it. Because I thought I prevented it by telling my children to watch their surroundings and be careful. and I still didn't.
Daquan will never start high school, never argue with his siblings over nothing, never remind his mom to drive safe.
It was, give me a second, guys.
Tiffany knows nothing will bring her baby back. What she hopes is that another mother never has to learn what life sounds like after it's too quiet.
Who can help me when I'm at home and it's time for bed and it's time to lay down and the world is quiet? Who helps me then?
That was Alexandra Lewis reporting. We reached out to VO for a statement and they wrote, quote, "We are deeply saddened by this tragic incident and extend our heartfelt condolences to the individual's family, friends, and loved ones during this incredibly difficult time. Safety is our highest priority. We're gathering information, reviewing the circumstances surrounding the incident, and cooperating with law enforcement as they conduct their investigation. Out of respect for the family and the ongoing investigation, we are unable to comment further at this time." A flag football fundraiser honoring Daquan Harris will be held Sunday from 3 to 7 p.m. at West High School